Hello, dear friends everywhere. Uh, we are here today. I have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful guest. Her soul, her countenance, everything about Aimee Lyndon Adams is wondrous. Please say hello to our
Oh,
guest today.
well, what a absolutely divine introduction. Thank you so very much. It is an absolute pleasure to be interviewed by you. Thank you, Jan.
Thank you, Aimee. And I have known Aimee, oh gosh, probably for a decade, and we'll be talking about some of these crossovers as many of us are having as we are emerging onto our fuller path as divine beings, letting the voice of truth of the divine feminine be a guiding light for the planet and individuals at this time. So, Aimee, right from your website, you are, and we'll be talking about this, an emergence mentor. We are emerging from our old stories and our old selves. You are a visionary and you are a seer. And for myself, for the last decade or so that we have hosted each other as speakers, I've always considered you as one of the big girls, the big healers, the big knowers, the seers. You are on my short list in my inner circle. And to be honest with you, I trust you and few other beings to help me when I get stuck out of a tough place. So that is Aimee. She channels the wisdom and healing energy of her 12 ascended master guides. That's a dozen, 12. The wise beyond wise through her words and her hands. With a successful corporate background as well, she is the total package to escort you across your own personal finish line to health, healing, and wholeness, and to be in service for what is coming and what is being required of us at this time. She also shares purpose with her guides to assist light workers in releasing old wounding, outdated beliefs, imprinting and programming that blocks their ability to fulfill their own purpose and destiny so they can make their own unique contribution to the world. Aimee and her guides radiate the healing power of love that is nurturing, purifying, comforting, and supporting. In short order, it is the embodiment of the Divine Mother that so many of us feel a bit short on growing up. So I want to talk a little bit about the formative years. It's always good, to establish who you are. When did you first realize you had these gifts? Was it a breakthrough? Was it a slow acknowledgement? Or were you talking to angels when you were 3 years old?
I think I was definitely talking to angels because, I had a very hard start, as many light workers did this lifetime. We came, really to make a difference. And we took on a tremendous amount of wounding in order to move it through our own bodies. We came to complete all our karmic contracts. And so it was a rough start. I, of course, was born in England, and I left England in my early 20s because I was really clear that I couldn't be seen in my own country of origin, that it was just not possible for me to do my work there. And I started my travels, which then eventually led me to America. For the first part of my life, just being real, having been abused, sexually abused as a child, I actually spent most of my time out of my body. So yes, I went off and played with my guides and my angels and much preferred being out of my body than in my body. It wasn't until I would say my mid-30s that my destiny started to catch up with me, and I started to study all about energetic and emotional integrity. And in doing so, I learned this whole existence of guides and what their purpose was. And so, first of all, I had to learn to get into my body and stay in my body. And still to this day, my heart-centered grounding process is my daily go-to, not just once a day, not just twice a day, but several times a day, because there's a lot of energy in the world that just you kind of lift out of your body, and I wanted to be in my body. It was at that time that the woman I was working with said, there are a group of guides that want to meet you. And so initially I had five guides. And this is a very fun story. I went to Reno for a reading with a channel for the very first time. Didn't mention anything about my guides. And I walked in and he said, the first thing he said was, we'd like to acknowledge the presence of your five guides. He said they like to be called the Fabulous Five.
Cool.
And
I love
he said, I'm going to put them, with your permission, in a kind of stream of energy, because their energy is so powerful, it will interfere with my reading. Is that all right? So I felt validated from the very first words. And then it was much later, I would say probably a good, wow, almost 20 years later, that the guides came in again and they said, there are 7 more guides that want to partner you in fulfilling your purpose. And they can't get into your field because your field is too chaotic. So I knew immediately what that was. And I said, oh, this is the company I'm working with, right? And they said, absolutely. So the CEO of that company loved to play right on the edge, keep everyone off balance. And it was extremely hard to set boundaries. I did succeed, but took an enormous amount of will. And the guide said very simply, if you would like to have 12 Ascended Master Guides, you would need to resign your job. And I was making about 10,000 a month from the job. So it was not like, oh, okay. But I sat with it and I just thought, I've always known I was here to fulfill a destiny, and now I am being partnered by those beings that are going to support me in doing it and support all the other people who need our work. So I did resign, and literally 10 days after resigning, the first 5 came in, and they integrated into my system for 10 days. And then after 10 days, one more guide came. And then after another 10 days, the final guide came in and integrated. So it was just an amazing process.
What trust it took. And I know a lot of listeners are thinking, should I leave my job or not? But you had a black and white, very clear. You had such clarity. And then it delivered. And that's what it takes. It takes a true, decisive moment and trusting and then allowing it. So I know inquiring minds are dying to know. Tell us, who are the 12 guides?
Well, I kind of anticipated you would ask that question. And they're saying they would just like me to name a few of them.
Excellent.
The 12th guide that came in at the very end was our beloved Yeshua. And this really didn't surprise me, although of course I was incredibly overwhelmed at first. But I had studied A Course in Miracles in my life for almost 4 years, and had actually consciously walked with Yeshua day by day for almost 4 years before I felt I'd integrated the lessons enough for me to, walk on my own, so to speak. Of course, I wasn't ever walking on my own, as no one ever is. We all have guides. Everybody has at least 3 guides, a male guide, a female guide, and a guardian angel. But if you have contracted with a special purpose, I do believe there are a team of guides waiting for each person to support you in that endeavor. So the 11th guide that came in was Mary Magdalene. And Mary Magdalene and I also have, a very deep, very old relationship. We were together in the temples of Isis, and we studied together. Again, I just feel the chills
I'm
of
getting
pleasure.
chills too because I was there. We were
I
sisters.
know you were,
May.
darling.
And I believe that we promised to bring the word and the ways of the balanced Christ and Magdalene back to the earth when people have ears to hear
Yes.
already.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And, Mary and Yeshua have been absolutely extraordinary for me and my partner of almost 20 years. Victor and I, have a very harmonious and peaceful, loving relationship. And about 2 years ago, Mary Magdalene whispered in my ear that she and Yeshua would like to sit down with Victor and I, and we chose Christmas Eve as the evening. And they came in and they said, we would like to co-create a program with you and Victor that is called Sacred Intimacy, and that embodies Victor's impressive knowledge of the art of sacred conscious lovemaking, and includes your body of work on energetic and emotional integrity. And then we will add our secret sauce. So they looked at Victor and they said to Victor, this is the work that you were born to do. And it was a very emotional moment for us both. And we have designed that program, and it is available. And it is absolutely extraordinary. Not only does it talk to the difficulties between men and women in getting into the place where such conscious sexuality can be experienced, the same kind of sexuality that prepared Yeshua for his ascension, by the way. And then it goes into the actual how-tos of raising sexual energy. But Mary was most insistent that it included another module on healing abuse, because she said so many lightworkers were abused at the beginning of their lives. And this abuse needs to be released out of the body. And so she literally partnered us in being able to move that energy through the program. So when you take that, it really creates lasting change.
I,
So
I,
Mary and Yeshua are my two kind of big guns, so to speak. And then my third is my really, truly, in many ways, the heart of my heart. And this is Saint Germain and his emerald green and violet flame that he spent eons perfecting to transmute all negative energy. I've known him for as long as he's been with me, and he was one of the five as grandfather. And so to me, he's always grandfather, but he is really Saint Germain. And it just is, it's just really, truly amazing to have such high quality beings that work not only with my clients, but of course, they're all alive in my field. So, when I go anywhere, I can't help but light up the space because of the energies in my field. I don't have to say anything; I just have to show up. So
so
it's
can you
amazing.
call in additional beings? Say, I just want to say
Yes.
that you, out of all of my friends doing this work, you have so many devoted clients, long-term clients who keep morphing and moving with you as you up what you are doing. And we'll talk in a moment about how 2025 has been a game changer. We're totally in a
Completely.
new place,
Yeah.
socially, politically, geophysically. So we'll talk about that. But I want to back up. Um, I took your sacred intimacy
Yeah.
course. My partner came in for a few courses too, and then our schedules, but it's the real thing. And I think it's wonderful that you birthed it on the calendar date of Christ. What I feel you're doing is bringing, you're sifting what is golden and right about divine masculinity and femininity and dropping the toxic so that people can go into their Christed consciousness, which is a vibration together through sexual and intimacy. So it's a very important tool. And I will be putting little links and emails at the bottom of this YouTube
Beautiful.
so you can access the program as well. Okay, so where were we? Where would you like to go to? 2025, or did you want to
You were
finish
just
about?
asking me about, whether I worked with kind of specialists. And I really appreciate that question because two other guides that have worked very much with me over these last few years aren't part of the original 12, but literally have contracted to be of assistance. And these two are the great Lord Metatron and Archangel Michael. And their role, Archangel Michael specifically works with clearing past lives, past life coding, past life patterns. What I love to say to everyone is everything is just energy. Energy cannot be killed, but it can be transmuted into other forms. And that's what Archangel Michael has been doing. Lord Metatron has been assisting us in removing the dark chips and devices that were planted in lightworkers to prevent them from doing their purpose. And over the past 2 years, we've had a series of eclipse pairings that have been very, very intense. And their job has been to push up anything that is dark within our literally at our entire energy fields so that it can finally be seen and be extracted. So we have actually been very busy assisting all kinds of people. I get that how it shows up the most is when there's an internal conflict. You want to do such and so, but every time you do, there's a part of you that goes into terror or dread or creates obstacle after obstacle after obstacle. And that's because that chip or that device is actually preventing the full functioning of the chakra and implanting an energy of, oh, let's not do it. Let's stay safe. Oh, that's not a good idea. Or you don't have the chops to pull that off. And so more and more of these chips, it's not just one or two in a person. Sometimes it's as many as 10. And, Lord Metatron, I have so much gratitude for his devotion as well as his impeccability.
Oh, yes.
And he and Archangel Michael,
The
I think
man.
they're really good buddies,
Question for you. I have a
Yeah,
question. My sense is, and you can help me with this, is that since we were born, there is a team, I say it's a team of light workers dotting the planet.
yes,
And I feel because we tend to be good and in integrity, we're sitting ducks for those other people carrying chips in darkness and placing these little blocks in us to dampen down the light and the eventual fruition of the divine plan. So does that feel true to you that we've had implantations because we're light workers, because of
yes.
our end role of potential power and light?
It is true. And there is another side to it. So some of these chips and devices were indeed planted by, family in past lives that were sick of us being the problem child, um, or by communities that thought you were a witch or something and tried to shut you down that way, or by agents of the dark that recognized your light. So all of that is true. And the other side is that some of us put the chips in ourselves because that we were just sick and tired of being burned at the stake. I've been burned 5 times in past lives.
Like a
There is a point.
like a cloaking to cloak
Yes.
the light
So
so
I
that
don't
other
show
people
up
won't
on the
watch.
radar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. However, whatever the reason or whoever put these devices in, they need to come out now because we are, and this is where we can shift to 2025, we are really rapidly accelerating into our ascension, at this point. And so you can't be holding darkness because ascension is all about light.
Yeah.
And so for whatever reason, even if you put them in yourself, it's time to let them go now.
So it's like a boulder holding down a hot air balloon. And sometimes I think we might put it in ourselves just to slow ourselves down so we didn't go
Yeah,
too far out of the 3D. So it's 2025, and how are light workers and yourself approaching and working with things differently as the light is coming in and accelerating, and things are getting quite chaotic in the social everyday life scheme here?
absolutely. This is really an absolute pivot point that we've been preparing for quite some time. And if you're listening to this and you've done a lot of your own work, trust that you have prepared yourself. And also, if you're a light worker, please trust that you've been trained for this moment in your past lives. You will know what to do. The very big news is that we really are leaving life as we've known it in the third dimension behind now. And what does that mean? Well, the third dimension, as we know, promotes isolation, separation,
Competition.
competition. It promotes dragging the past into the present and recreating a future based on the past. It encourages us in this idea of separation to always think of things in either or, good, bad, right, wrong, black, white, and so on. This kind of thinking has fueled the 1%. It's fueled patriarchy because, again, the separation between men and women. It has really caused us to be imprinted with what I call the false self-image. So the false self-image is something that all of us got imprinted with at birth. This feeling of there being something wrong with us, not good enough, not belonging or fitting in. And we develop this false self-image that we presented to the world in order to get some love, some attention, some rewards. And it did work to the extent that, yeah. But all those pluses went to the false self-image and not to the person who is cowering behind, still afraid that they're not lovable, that they're not worthy enough. Now, this false self-image was used also to control us by the dark energies, to keep us in the stage of working to prove your value. And, I'm doing the hamster wheel with my hands because it doesn't matter how hard you work, you
Vigilance,
never can prove it enough.
vigilance, efforting, and exhaustion. And what you're saying is the behaviors that people have to employ to work with a narcissistic social quality.
Exactly.
Uh,
There's not room for anyone else with a narcissist. They
exactly.
take all the space, all the space, all the credit, twist everything to fit their agendas. So, if you think about where we are, it's a very interesting place because we're already starting to see the constructs that were built in
Seeing.
3D.
We're seeing it as absolute truth now, whereas before it was nebulous.
Yes.
We're seeing the control mechanisms, the predatory behaviors, and the efforting. And just a disclaimer here, Aimee and I talked a little bit before the interview, and I said, let's bring that back in because what we are getting is we have to live the way that we feel during meditation, which is free and non-efforting. Can we live in a non-efforting beingness of expansionness?
You see, it's such a thrilling topic. It is. To me, at this time, there is nothing I like to talk about more than this, because from my own personal experience, and I'm sure I am not alone in this, light workers, I have never been more exhausted in 2024. I mean, literally, I I got nothing left in the tank at all. And I realized that part of the issue is, again, 3D thinking. Think about it for just one moment before we delve into this juicy topic. Everything you've learned so far has been in 3D. Every belief you've acquired, 3D. Every strategy, every plan, every pattern, every habit, every behavior has been spawned in 3D for 3D. So when I tried to take some vacation time off over the holidays, I noticed I was creating these tension points where I was in conflict. I wanted to be able to let go completely and dive into the deepest rest of Yoga Nidra, which I'll talk more about later. But I felt like I was always being pulled out to do something,
Do
to
it.
to respond to somebody. And I realized in a moment, a flash, oh, I'm in 3D. It's like you can either rest or you're working, right?
Someone else for the boss.
Right. And I was saying to Jen, early in my life, actually pretty early in my life, in my 20s, I learned transcendental meditation and became a teacher of TM. And Maharishi used to talk about TM as a process of, within your 20 minutes of meditation, you transcend thought and you allow the body to reach a level of rest that is twice as deep as the deepest point of
Oh,
sleep.
yes.
Now, he actually scientifically proved that
Yeah,
through his.
the brain waves go to a 0 point.
There we go.
And you can't access spiritual states unless your brain activity comes to the 0 point. I have a chart.
Yes, I actually have a book of charts from those days as a TM teacher. And he said that, when you come out of meditation into activity, you retain some of those benefits, but some get eroded as you go back to work. Then in the afternoon, you come back to meditate again and you access those energies again. So this time when you come out, you bring a little more of the benefits with you. You still lose some. He likened it to dyeing a cloth. First of all, you dip it in the dye and then you let it soak up the color and then you bring it out to dry in the sun. Some color remains, some fades. You put it back in the tub of dye and little by little, back and forth, you create a color fast cloth. And so, with this analogy, you see the goal is 5D, not either or, both and. What about restful activity? What about playful work. And I realized that I was still caught, and this tension was the tension of still trying to drag 3D thinking into a higher vibrational frequency. So, where we're at now is these constructs that have been built in 3D for 3D to keep us in separation, to keep us controlled. Why really do they think we need to be controlled? Because we have unlimited power. And we have never been taught to own it. If we tried to bring it out, we were shamed, blamed, punished. Now is the time
Yeah.
for you to, back to that beautiful word, emergence. We're emerging our true essence now, not polluted by other people's thinking. I like to say to people, you're about to discover who you really are, not who you've been told you are.
So how does this work into your programs or products
Yeah.
you're offering this year in this clean slate?
Well, thank you for asking that. I'm very aware that a lot of things have got to change this year. And one of those things on a personal level is it's not a going it alone lifetime. So I've teamed up with the beautiful Jen Flaw, who is the CEO of the Bird Commission, which is a training site where you can get training, personal, professional, spiritual training. It's a beautiful thing. She's also the author of a best-selling book on Amazon, The Happiness Handbook. And she's a technological whiz. I'm extremely lucky. We've been talking about how money is caught up in this big shift. And, up until now in 3D, we've all been enslaved to money, enslaved to work. And that is going to start to go away. And so, how we use our money, what we spend our money on, and the amount of money that will be available as we go into these next few years is a concern for many people. Therefore, Jen and I put our heads together and we wanted to create some really low price offerings that anybody can take and get support. The other thing is, you know, I shifted my work some years ago to become an emergence mentor because it was time for people to realize it's not just me who's powerful, through my access to the guides. Everybody has the same abilities. And to the old session, you'd come in with your questions and the guides would, share with their answers with you and you get all healed and you'd go out. In the emergent sessions, me and the guides, we facilitate your own wisdom. So you find your own answers. And I think that is a really big shift in the world, that every single lightworker has a piece of the puzzle, and that we need to be able to step up and share our own gifts and not kind of, we've all played this role of worshiping at the feet of our spiritual leaders. It's just another form of control. And so letting all of that go, we decided to bring out two really fun products to help people with this shift. Because you see, we're aware that there is an increase in anxiety on the planet. There's so much fear at this point, mostly due to the change in the climate and in our, political arena. But also, you see, you're letting go of life as you've known it. All of your tools, they don't work anymore. The energy that used to fuel 3D isn't fueling it anymore. So we come back again to see that if you insist on doing life the way you've done it, let's just pick on work for a moment. If you're a person who pushes through, who drives herself, who gets things done, right? The universe is not partnering you in that anymore.
No.
You're using your own energy reservoirs. And most of us, as I said, are exhausted. I'm starting to see certain people crash and burn because they're still insisting on doing it the old way. However, I'm aware that as you enter uncharted territory, it's scary.
Yep.
And so what we thought, Jen and I, was we could create a couple of ways that we could just gently ease people into the new year. Just ease you in so that you start to learn to think for yourself. You see what you've been doing and you choose yourself to leave that behind. It's not productive. You learn how to slow down enough to allow the energy coming in to give you the answers that you need. It's really time now for us to recognize that there's not a hierarchy, so to speak. We're all absolutely powerful, beautiful aspects of divinity.
And it circles. We're moving forward in supportive, collaborative circles. For instance, you and I heard you say the word trust many times during this talk. You only used fear once. You and I trust each other impeccably. And you had me come speak at the Santa Rosa Golf Club. It was a wonderful women's, and I had you and your partner at that time come and speak. So we are circling up and forming our own off the grid resources,
Yeah.
reciprocity, and money, ways that
Yeah.
we can work together. Um, so tell me, do you have a monthly support group, a weekly? How can people join in? What does it look like? And tell me how they can reach you and find out more about these.
Beautiful. So um, Jen will provide the links to the journal, which is a wonderful, beautiful, exquisite. It's in paperback. It's available on Amazon. It's just so gorgeous. If you're a journaler, you are gonna love it. The other product is really fun. Jen found this kind of advent calendar style program. And so who doesn't like having a gift every day? Every day for 31 days in January, you open a window and you'll find a recipe, a technique, a video, an audio, a journal prompt, a pause point, to really train us to find those poise points in the day. So those are the two products that you can ease into the year with our work. Once a month, I host an event that up until now has been called Celebrating Emergence. And again, it's a new form. It's not me, the leader. It is bringing together a group of lightworkers who choose a topic they want to talk about. And then everybody shares their wisdom. And then, of course, my guides come in towards the end and conduct a healing for everyone on the call. It's $33. It is so cost effective. And once you subscribe, you can access all the other recordings. So it really is a stunning way to play with us. To join Celebrating Emergence, most of all, I would love you to sign up for my newsletter by going to my website and signing up for the newsletter. Um, you know, I've been this way for quite a while. Although my corporate background is sales and service. It's literally, I used to teach as the director of service that the better you sell, the better you serve, and the better you serve, the better you sell. So I focus on the better you serve because I feel that rather than signing up for Substack and you get my monthly musings that you have to pay for, if you sign up on my website, you get it for free. And I talk about the energies and what's going on and any new offerings and answer a question that my clients have raised over the month. And announce the Celebrating Emergence event. So it's a very wonderful way. And I'm never going to spam your email. I'm so conscious that we get enough messages, and so you'll only hear from me when I have something important to say.
And you embody conscious, principled business practices. And I've always felt that you have that masculine backbone, and then you have the feminine ability to teach, receive, and work. So again, to me, you're the entire package. You are the queen of queens, and we are in collaboration together. And I'm going to announce to you today, I just did the soft launch of here's the necklace, the Becoming Queen coaching program, to help women become like Aimee, fully in their service and joyous and present and blessing their dominion with their authentic presence. No more false selves, no more efforting. So
More
here we
efforting.
are together, weaving together this beautiful grid. If you're watching this, I hope you are feeling the joy and the activation to work with us. And we are all in this together. Sisterhood, we are better together. Do you have any final words to say?
Um, I would like to just say one last thing about the products, and then I'm going to just ask the guides how they would like us to close because they've been with us this whole time. Um, One of the thoughts that Jen and I have had is rather than doing these products every single month, we would evolve into doing them 4 times a year. So a way to launch into the spring, the summer, the fall, the winter, that will be coming up. But I also have a very tender heart around Valentine's Day. A lot of my friends are single, and I know that loving yourself in February is particularly challenging. So we will be doing a loving yourself version of both products in February. So that's to come. But other than that, let me just drop it in for a second. Hold on. Well, first, the guides are just blooming with love for you, Jan, and really honoring how you are stepping up to be at the level that we need to play now. And I'm using the word play deliberately. High play. Your Queen's group is about high play, allowing each person to emerge in their queenliness and to share their gifts with everybody. It would be my pleasure to be part of that group with you. They're giving me a little nudge and telling me that's true. They're also saying that you and I are really, truly soul sisters, and that we've had different paths, but our energy fields have brought us together, and there is more to do. Finally, they would like to say a word for our listeners, is that the higher worlds really know how tentative this energy is, between letting go and opening up to what's new. It's so ironic that the entire universe is built on change. And yet human beings are innately resistant to change. So they just want to leave your listeners with this thought that anytime you find yourself irritated, frustrated, feeling tense, that's a sign that you're trying to go back to the old and drag the old into the new. Be willing, they say, to rest deeply as we start this new year, because what we're all going to be doing will be born out of deep rest. And so this Yoga Nidra program that I've been doing allows me to get that level of deep rest that I used to get through TM, and still do, of course, but it's another piece. So in a way, I'm increasing the number of times I go into that deep rest so that I can bring it out and literally create a new life based on restful activity. And I really encourage your readers to do that too.
Oh, that's
By the way, Yoga Nidra is available on an app called Insight Timer. And I believe it is free. I certainly don't pay anything for it. It has so many different Yoga Nidras, which is just basically you lay down and you're guided through every area of your physical body, just bringing your awareness to your body. And it leads you to a state of full body consciousness, no mind, deep, deep rest. They say a 40-minute Yoga Nidra is as good as 4 hours of the deepest sleep.
wow. Well, what relaxes me is your voice, and your voice is your consciousness. It is divine. It is a pool of respite. What a blessing today to have Aimee Lyndon Adams with us on our show on She Said Talks. Blessings, blessings to everyone. Reach out to us, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.
Take
Bye-bye.
care. Bye-bye.
If you're part of the caravan tour, you got to come over here and do like this.
Oh yeah, baby. Queen.
Queen the queen. You got to give her a hug.
You're not the queen. Queen.
Oh.
Queen of queens energy. Yeah.
Well, we'll just share it. We'll share the title. Okay, hold on.
Totally.
Share the crown.
Okay. Ta-da!
All right, recognize.